You're
The
live.
set must be done.
Right. If only. I'd like to get started. So I'll call to order. It is Tuesday, November 25th. It is 5:03. I am here, Councilmember Harrington,
Here.
Councilmember Matheson,
Here.
and were you able to review the minutes for November 13th?
I didn't see anything.
Nothing? Okay, so then we'll approve those minutes. So our first item is to look at the proposed changes to the personnel manual. And there's, I believe, 3 areas in red here that we need to just have our committee take a look at. And that is on page 8, under vacations. Well, the memo actually gives a very nice description of the different changes, so we could delve into the personnel manual itself, or we could look at the memo either one.
Yeah, either way, you can reference the article numbers there, but that
Yep.
holidays, vacation,
Mhm.
sick leave section, the update is really not a change, it's just clarifying language to be clear about the intent. So what I added, the language that was added, new hires, i.e. those who were not employed by the city of Oneonta immediately prior to their appointment to a position covered by the admin manual will accrue their initial vacation credit on their hire date. This was how it's been implemented and what was intended. I think adding that, discussing with Ginny just made sense to be clear as to how it's to be implemented.
So that's the first item. And then the second item is on page 14. And this is regarding the Medicare Plus eligibility.
Right, so an employee who may be hired by the city later in their career, if they work at least 10 years with the city of Oneonta and then retire from the New York State retirement system directly from the city, once they have reached Medicare eligible age, which is currently 65, given those conditions, they would be eligible for retiree health insurance. Currently, all employees in the administrative manual would have to have 15 years of service. So this would benefit an employee who comes here a little bit later in their career, and it may encourage them to stick around a little bit longer to get to the 10 years, or it may incentivize someone to come here at all. You know, it might be an incentive for a new employee to come here from having gained a lot of experience elsewhere. Ginny, okay, if you want to add anything on that, but I think that's
No?
in a nutshell.
Other than that, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I think it's very beneficial for not only for retention but recruitment,
Yeah.
and also inspiring people to make changes without hesitation.
So it opens up the field a bit more in terms of eligibility for these requirements or these benefits. Any questions, comments? No? Okay, so then we can move on to the third change is on page 19 in Appendix B. And these are the changes to salary based on the $1,500 raise as per the budget, 2026 budget.
Right, it's just updating the salary schedule by the 1500s for the ranges of the various grades. That was what was discussed at the council meeting last week.
Anything?
I have a question about the categories, like A1, A2, that kind of thing. How are they determined?
So when we did the salary citywide compensation study in 2023, we had, for every title in the city, there was a compensation range that was determined. And then for the administrative personnel manual, we took any titles that were relatively in range with one another and grouped them together into grades. So that's how the grades were established, titles that had similar salary ranges based on that study.
Okay.
Is that clear? Done?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just,
touch this part, so.
Oh, yeah.
So can we move people within those categories?
What do you mean people? I mean titles?
Titles,
Move
right,
Titles from
yeah.
one grade to another?
Right.
That can be done, yeah. I would recommend that that be done in context of a salary study, you know, so that you maintain that equity between positions.
But I'm just saying that it's
Yeah.
not set in law or anything like that.
Nothing in this manual is set, I mean, there might be some things in reference laws, but the manual is, you know, open to council
Okay, thank you.
updates over time.
Okay. This next discussion, so, do you have anything else on that you wanted to before we?
No.
Okay, so I recommend, actually, we can have a discussion for the next, portion on employee salaries. But this does specifically reference, the city clerk. Scott, this next item.
By all means, I got my glasses.
So, this is also in reference to the,
What page is that?
this is on page 20 of our packet.
Mhm.
So this is also in reference to our budget discussion, and this is what we have as part of the 2026 budget.
Right,
And
so,
so, correct, so,
this is what
these-
was discussed last week
Yep.
and included in the tentative budget that was approved by the council. Every year, like the page, you know, it says FAHRC-21, it's got the table that lists every current individual in those titles. That is attached to the motion that goes in the council agenda on December 2nd for the council to approve, because the council has to approve those salaries each year, because they're not tied to a union contract. That table shows what they're making, base, salary, longevity, stipend, and total for 2025, what the increase would be for 26, and what the total would be for 26.
One, you know, there's been some discussion about clerk salary. And looking at some of these other categories, it seems, to me, it would be appropriate to move her from A4 to, or that position, A4 to 5 or 6. It's a big job.
it is. So you're proposing that
Well,
we?
how would we do that?
Well, I think we would, if there is a discussion, at our committee level to move the city clerk in terms of her, the grade, position grade, we would need a broader discussion around council to do that.
Yeah, ultimately, you know, if that were to be changed here, you know, the tentative budget doesn't include that change, so there would be a budget issue. And then to change one title outside of a, you know, it's not something I'd recommend, I've said it one number of times. So if you wanted to change one title outside of a comprehensive study, I think it's problematic. But that's certainly the
Okay.
council's purview, you've done it before.
Okay.
Right.
So
What I would suggest is that we do it after the budget is passed and take it up as a more general discussion.
Well, I actually think, that we have a stipend included in the 2026 budget for the city clerk. So I think that maybe speaks to your concerns in terms of compensation. But Jenny, did you?
I just wanted to also endorse what Greg is saying.
Yep,
Let us do the next salary study
okay.
to see where all of the titles fall
Mhm.
within the market. And then we can bring those results to the council and then determine the results of the salary study, not only from the independent salary study, but also comparing it to the Rhinebeck salary study.
Mhm.
That's what we did before.
I'm sorry?
That's what we did before.
Mhm.
And then we can look at, the salary study, the results of it, see how far we are from the market median like we did before. And then we can bring those suggestions to council and then modify the budget accordingly depending on the council's decisions.
Mhm.
When will that study be done?
It's not something that's budgeted in 2026. When we did it in 2023, it was somewhere around $10,000, so we could talk about with the council a budget amendment or modification of some sort to do that in 2026, but it wasn't something we had included in our budget. However, given the discussion that's been going on, it seems like something that might be prudent to do in 2026.
Okay.
still think, you know, my own inclination is that, you know, an overall salary discussion or a study is one thing, but every municipality is different. And I don't know that that would apply as far as, in my mind, for this particular case. But we'll see. I'm not suggesting we do anything until after the budget is passed.
And just so you know, Don, when we categorized the different titles and whatnot, there was a lot of detail work. We looked at job duties, responsibilities, supervision, number of hours needed to, finish their job duties or perform their job duties, how many staff members they had, how many years of experience they had on the job. So a lot of thought goes into it. It's not just the salary study itself. The salary study
Mhm.
is this guide. So there's a lot of comprehensive study and analysis that goes into it before we present it to council.
Right, I'm familiar with those kinds of things, right? I understand that.
I do think, in terms of speaking to your concern about appropriate compensation, there is an additional 5,000 granted to the city clerk in the 2026 budget.
Right.
Yes.
No, I
So that
understand
does, I think it does speak to that.
Right, that's why I'm not suggesting anything is
Right,
done.
until
immediately.
after.
Right.
But I think tucking that away is important information.
See, I have come from a for-profit background, and the idea of managers getting a uniform salary increase or decrease would be absurd. Everyone would be judged individually.
The mayor did ask me to give you the history on why merit raises were taken out of the process, and I did a little research, and I wrote up a little math, if you want me to share that with you.
Sure.
Okay, so the history of why the merit raises were not administered within this administrative manual is that it removes the politics. That was Mayor Berner's number one concern. Also, it removes favoritism and subjectism, and it provides employees protection for that reason, so there isn't favoritism amongst different groups. It also causes division within the workforce, wage disparities and special treatments, rankle forces, as we experienced when the council decided to adjust one administrator in the beginning of '25 and not the rest of them. It caused a lot of very upset people. And most government raises stayed within a created grid, so they would never go above whatever the grid was on their management. The reason why the flat dollar raises were chosen over history is that predetermined base accounts for the difference of responsibilities and positions. Fairness, whereby all are treated equally for providing services as a team to the community. Provide same dollar amount for each employee, keeping base differences intact. Avoids compound effect over time. It keeps wage gaps between positions equal. Controls growth by not allowing higher paid positions to become unaffordable. Connections to the union contracts. Future salary studies compared to the original baseline. Budgetary processes. Controls the Me Too chain reaction. Determines the reason for the raise. It's not just based on a math calculation or a calendar date change. And fairness to the taxpayer who may not receive the equivalent pay increase, if any at all. So those are the reasons when I went back into administrative manual notes of why decisions were made the way that they were made. That's just a very brief summary, just for your information.
Okay, thank
I
you.
understand all of that. There is a flip side, of course, like in anything else, and that is it takes incentive away to do a better job as a manager or, be more effective. And if you're not an effective manager, you can coast and you're going to get the same raise as someone who works harder or is more effective. So again, I don't want to upset the apple cart, but I just want everyone to be aware that there's another way.
Oh, of course,
Doing
there's many ways to look at the same subject, many different directions.
Right.
Okay, so what I would like to do now is move these two items, both the personnel manual and then the salary employee salary calculation to the consent agenda. And if there are people on council who would like to have it pulled, we can, we're prepared for a discussion. But I think for now, we've had extensive discussion already. If they want to continue, we can do that. But for now, let's move it to consent and then we can.
That's fine.
Okay. We also have an additional, the part-time wage schedule, which is the update. I'm sorry?
Want me to grab Scott?
Yes, please, thank you.
Almost forgot him.
Yeah. So this is a part-time salary grade. The ranges, it's roughly about
Do you remember what
additional
page it
50
is?
cents an hour. It's
Oh, here it
page
is. I got it
22.
right in front of me.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
There we go.
Is there anything here, Dave, that we need to know about that you would like us to?
I mean, basically, we're going up by 50 cents, that's where minimum wage is going up.
Yep.
So moving everybody above that up by 50 cents as well,
Mhm.
just to kind of, moving that up, of all the grades.
Okay.
Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes,
Yep.
and there are, as far as the salary grid, it's correct,
Yes.
everything was moved up by the 50 cent. But there are some part-time pay adjustments in the 26 budget that may bring somebody up higher because of one, experience and or equivalent job duties, compared to other positions.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
The animal control officer and the, what is it, the parking control officer, is that the same person?
They, yes.
We don't have a
they-
part-time, we don't have a part-timer.
So, okay,
doing that work.
so that, okay.
Just to be clear, the list of titles is what's included there that we might potentially fill, that have been authorized by the council, but we don't have someone in every one of those titles. So we don't have an animal control officer or a parking enforcement officer. That's done by a full-timer,
Mhm.
Jimmy's gonna say, in our code enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
For full disclosure, the person in code enforcement office that has the animal control duties receives a stipend for those duties.
Mhm. Okay, so I propose we move, Scott, I had proposed that we move these, the personnel manual as well as the salary adjustment to consent agenda, and then if there are any council members that are interested in further discussion, they can pull them. Does that sound good? Okay, to you, all right, excellent. Okay, so our next item then is on the purchasing policies and procedures.
Excuse me, Chair, what are you doing with C?
Yes, I'm sorry,
C, that's going to consent as well?
and that is the part-time wage schedule, is
Correct.
that the, yes,
Yeah.
that's all consent, right,
Okay.
salary adjustment. So this is the annual review of the purchasing policies and procedures for the city. If there's, are there any questions about this particular document? I know I don't how old any at the moment. Did you have questions on
Well, I was gonna ask, when we hire outside companies to do things, some of it is bidded and some of it, are they like negotiated? How does that work?
So it depends on the type of work. So there are three basic categories. If you have materials and supplies or basic services, that's one category. There's public work is another category. Public work is typically when you're hiring, say, a contractor to do the Westcott dock retaining wall. That would be a type of public work or a construction project. Materials and supplies are just that, basic services like maintenance services or like a uniform cleaning contract or something would fall in that category. And the third category is consultant services. Consultant services, they do not require, the state does not require any competitive procurement process for those. The city has more stringent requirements, so something that's more than $20,000, we would have to go to an RFP or an RFQ process unless the council waives it. so I think $0 to $20,000, there's no competition required, this is a written proposal. For public work, that is, I think, above $35,000 has to go to a formal competitive bid. In some cases, we're able to use like state contract bid pricing, it's already been bid by the state, we're just kind of piggybacking on that, something like Cobblestone Stone paving a street or something like that. There are also lower limits up to, I forget them right off the top of my head, maybe $20,000. We may need a certain number of quotes, written quotes from different contractors, we don't do a formal bid. The material side is the $20,000 mark, once you get above that, you have to do a formal bid. If you wanna buy water valves, you do a bid.
So is the key in the way the contract is written, or is it there is a place where you or someone else negotiates with the potential contractor?
So when it comes to a formal bid, it really comes down to the dollar amount. If the low bidder is under $35,000, we don't need a formal bid, but if it.
Right, but
above that-
writing the contract, they're all individually made, right? Because you never know what, you know, you're gonna pave the street or you're gonna, you know, landscape a park or something, they're different projects.
Right, with a formal bid, we have to create a full bid specifications document, so everyone's.
That's the word I was looking for, the
Yeah,
specification. So
they're bidding on the drawing
so
specifications, whatever.
who does that?
It depends on what it is. Usually it's the Public Works Engineering Department. You know, it could be another department that has to do with a vehicle or a project that's not Public Works Engineering. You know, there's a lot of different things, but the department head who's responsible would work on that with our purchasing agent.
Because that could influence how high the bid would be, what's in the
Oh, yeah,
proposal.
yeah, the scope of work.
Right.
Obviously, we typically have a good idea of if this project is gonna be more than $35,000, you know, we plan for a bid if it's gonna be anywhere close to that, but.
Thank you.
Also,
Chris, you wanna add something?
engineer-
A lot of times, we consult with contractors and get estimates, so we kind of know where the price might come in to play. So a lot of the things that you see in your budget request for 2026, I've consulted with contractors, so I know what the value of things are gonna be. So I know moving forward, if council approves the 2026 budget, I kind of know what project I'm gonna have to put out to bid and what ones I'm gonna have to just get quotes on, because I already have a good estimate.
And also, Chris, doesn't you and your team, because of their experience and also knowing what the project is, you already have a good estimate predetermined?
Yes, we have a lot of data on projects that we've done throughout the city, and we've done for the last 3 decades of our careers, that we have a good amount of information on construction costs, engineering consulting fees. So we have a good idea of what things are gonna cost us, in today's dollars.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I propose, thank you very much. I propose that we move the policies and procedures to the consent agenda. We approve that, and then we move on, because I think this next item is something that relates to your questions
Mhm.
here,
Okay.
Don, which is the new proposed local law for cooperative purchasing. And so that's page 53. So maybe, Greg, could you just give a little context for this particular?
Yeah, so the city has utilized
Diane.
cooperative purchasing contracts, for certain things, and with some recent guidance from NICOM, and the I think it comes from the state comptroller's office, the city should implement a local law, should pass a local law to authorize the use of cooperative purchasing contracts. So when we reference the term Sourcewell, there's other cooperative purchasing groups that we could piggyback on pricing, where they've already done a formal competitive bid to get pricing on certain materials, supplies, services, and then we're able to use that pricing without having to write our own specifications for whatever that might be. So in order to continue using those types of contracts, the city needs to pass a local law authorizing them. City attorney has drafted a local law that's attached here that you can read, that could be brought forth.
Do you think you could just give a quick example of piggybacking, of what this law is trying to?
So
Make
something
clear.
like, a good example, a recent thing we've done.
'Cause it sounds familiar, but I just wanna make
HVAC
sure.
maintenance contracts, so someone that comes
Oh,
and does
yeah.
quarterly maintenance,
Yeah.
preventative maintenance type things, not a not a construction project, not a public work type of thing. But other things we might be able to piggyback. It's not exactly cooperative purchasing, but we do use like the Otsego County contract or other county contracts for materials like asphalt, those kinds of things. Equipment purchases, almost always they're through cooperative purchasing contracts or other state contracts.
Grinding materials, grinding of the
Equipment
crushed
rental.
waste material, that's a contracted, piggyback.
Yeah.
That's
So
very
quite a few things. And
Yeah.
really, it makes for a more efficient
Yep.
delivery of services,
Yep.
whole intent of it.
And so this law is meant to clarify that process? Yeah. Okay. And NICOM has decided that this needs to be more transparent as a process, I guess, to be codified?
Well, I was reading a NICOM, they have recommendations to the state that they've submitted for improvements to procurement unrelated to this, or
Uh-huh.
related and unrelated to this, and it just brought to my attention that, that we need to pass a local law to continue utilizing the cooperative purchasing
Uh-huh,
procurement method.
okay.
It's in our purchasing policies and procedures manual locally already and has been, but we don't have that local law to back it up.
Okay. Right, thank you for that. So I propose that we move back to the consent agenda as well. So our next item is on the fee schedule. And this includes the additional civil service? Yes. So we have an additional handout here for the civil service exam fees.
So Craig had just asked for some specific numbers in relation to that. It is something that, you know, $750 is the anticipated impact on waiving those fees again in 2026. So I wanted to give some feedback on it as to why we're continuing to do this, and you know, so it's already in the budget here, the tentative budget stuff, $750 needed to pay the fees to the state to hold these exams.
So it's my understanding that this was something that actually was a revenue source for the city at one point?
So
Is that
yes,
correct?
yep, so the reason that we have to add the actual expenses for the civil service fees, what the state charges us to hold the tests, is because we had the applicant fees that were covering it. Now that we don't have the applicant fees, we added this as a budget line to the budget now. But that number just keeps getting smaller and smaller every year as we continue to move stuff into the health program. And at this point, it looks like permanently the only folks that are going to be taking traditional civil service fees moving forward are gonna be police and fire. And to specifically isolate those people to be the only folks in city government that have a cost associated with employment, I think is not only unfair, but also contradictory to the idea of wanting to have the best recruitments we possibly can have in those two vital areas.
So it'd be interesting to see what happens with the health program in terms
So
of
the health
future.
program is set to expire in June and transition to the new format, which will not have any applicant-based fees associated with it. The civil service, State Civil Service Commission has officially recommended that now get extended again to have overlap between the end of the health program and the start of the new vacancy-based selection process. And I feel like that is going to happen, that we are gonna see the health program get extended at least through the end of 2026, but not because they're delaying the new system, just to give, you know, local agencies an opportunity to ease into the new system without the health program going away simultaneously.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Any questions?
I got a question about something different, not about
What about,
the
on
human
this?
resources, yeah.
Yeah,
Building permits. we're gonna start pricing ourselves out of people wanting to come and do any kind of things in the city of Oneonta with what our permit prices are. Right now, I already talked to contractors that wanna come in and do stuff in here, and it's starting to get way too expensive. I don't agree with the statement that because you raise these fees up, that it's gonna deter anything. I sit in the Board of Public Service, and I can tell you right now, it doesn't deter anything. In fact, it causes a lot more issues for our Board of Public Service in the way of people coming up when they're getting hit with $10,000 fines and stuff like that. We're up here as a council, and the mayor has gone out, and we say how we're a friendly city, but boy, we do a lot of things that show that we're not friendly. And by raising a bunch of fees and stuff, we want to encourage people to invest in their properties. We want to encourage people to better their properties. We want to encourage people to have better neighborhoods and look cleaner and stuff. And by doing this is counterproductive. I don't know, are we trying to raise these prices because we're giving out all these raises in that area, or why behind this? Because these doesn't make sense to say it's a deterrent. It's not always a deterrent when you raise prices. That's, you
You're
know,
speaking specifically of the building fees.
yes,
The late permit?
Yes.
The late fees.
So,
because you're trying to go from 3 times the amount.
currently, you want me to explain?
Yes.
So currently, this is for building permit late fees. So if you submit a building permit application on time, before you do the work,
You know?
you pay a certain amount. It's based on a $45 initial permit application fee. And when you submit your building permit application, you indicate how much is the work valued at. Is it $1,000 or less? In that case, your fee is $45. For every $1,000 of project value above that, you pay another $2.50. So in the example listed here, if a project currently is $5,000 worth of work, they get a building permit, they pay $63.25. And so what we're proposing changing is how the late fee is calculated.
Right,
So
that's really what I'm concentrating on, is that late fee, because I'm sitting on the Board of Public Service. We're starting to get counterproductive. Yeah, we want people to come in and do stuff. We want them to follow the procedure and do it the right way. But when you're getting hammered that we have these outrageous penalties and our Board of Public Service can't maneuver one way or another to try to help it out, that's actually counterproductive into getting people to want to do stuff. Sometimes the error is, and even though it's not an excuse, is ignorance. They don't know what they don't know until they get caught up with. And then you're trying to counsel them. We want compliance. Compliance doesn't necessarily mean we hammer them so hard that they can't afford to pay for their mistake.
Yeah, the $10,000 fees you're referencing are administrative fees that are unrelated to the building permit late fee. That's a different thing that we're not proposing changes to, but, so something like this in that example, the late fee would be 15% of the building permit fee, so $8.25. What the proposal is that a late building permit for that same project that would cost, he's proposing if the $5,000 project was result in a total permit fee of $165, which would be 55 multiplied by 3. So if you're late, you pay 3 times what the permit fee would be. So it still wouldn't be, the tens of thousands of dollars unless you're talking about a very expensive project. The administrative fees, I think, have been the issue in Board of Public Service, and the council recently, the last few months, you passed a revision to the chapter, I think it's 86, that changes how the Board of Public Service can evaluate and adjust those fees.
Yes, you're right. I'm
I think
completely,
that
yes,
is more
yes,
what you
you're
think
right. Yes, I'm getting them mixed up. My apologies.
That's okay.
Absolutely. So,
But does that make sense though, as far
Yep.
as the building permit late fee? If your permit's normally $55 and you're late, then it's gonna be 3 times that.
Yeah, and this is for the places that don't file for the permit and they've already started the work. And quite often it's not inspected because code enforcement doesn't know what's going on.
how much are the building fees? We're not changing them?
The permit fee itself
Is it?
would not be changed. It'd still be calculated on the $45 for the first $1,000 of work, and then $2.50 for each $1,000 of work beyond that.
Yeah.
So it's 45 and then,
$2.50 per thousand above the first thousand.
It's right here.
Yeah, Don, I was getting the administrative fee mixed up
It
with.
was good to ask, it's good to get it clarified.
Don't listen to me.
This is already in the fee schedule, we're just cleaning up the language.
Yeah.
okay.
All right. But I'm just wondering if we should have, I mean, we could move this to consent, agenda, but I'm wondering if there might be questions that the broader council would have about this.
Hopefully they don't
What do
listen
you
to me.
What did you say?
I said, hopefully don't listen to me, because I got things backwards.
No, but I mean, I just wonder if you had those questions and got them clarified, if other people would see this and have, I just wonder about having a broader discussion. I'm happy to move this to consent.
Can we talk about the ambulance?
Sure, it's just, we
I don't
do
know, I'm
have
good
20
with the
minutes,
ambulance
so
billings.
I'm just a little more cognizant of time tonight.
Yeah, I'm good with the ambulance billing.
Okay. Did you want to clarify
I just
anything?
want you to know, on your desk is some data from Multimed for our ambulance history.
Yep.
We can talk about it at council, we can talk about it at all, but I just want you to know, that this came in, and what it does is it gives you information. One thing that I would like to point out, from the first graph, it shows you the mixture of the type of calls that are being made. 31% is our advanced life support, 55% is our basic life support. But I want you to notice that we've got 7% for no transports and 6% for lift assist. So the no transports and the lift assist are the least expensive fees that we have, but the fire department is spending 13% of their time on those calls. And then, the rest of the charts show you the payer mix and how much we're collecting from the different types of payers. And, the proposed rate changes, it's estimated, to bring in a possible $40,000 to $45,000 of additional money, which would only be realized through commercial insurance. So that's just a real quick overview of what you've
Yeah,
got.
it's really helpful.
I've only got one thing about Multimed for using them. They're not a very friendly company to get a hold of, Jenny. They've only got certain hours, and they don't even take the city's health insurance, so it's kind of funny that you get reimbursed and I have to send the money back into them. So, that's my only comment about Multimed.
We can talk later on that.
Yes, we can.
Okay. I propose we move back to the consent agenda. And then again, if there's further questions from council members, they can pull them. Our next item is a contract for, the Susquehanna SPCA for, dog control and sheltering.
This is a renewal of a contract, one-year contract, no changes from 2025, so $5,000 annual contract fee to have the SPCA as our partner for transferring dogs that may be collected by the city. Literally no changes other than the dates.
Right. Okay.
And they're our primary dog control shelter. The secondary one, the next item, is really not utilized. I mean, it could be, but it's typically, there's no need for it. But we do have this agreement that we'd like to renew with the Superheroes and Ripped Jeans doing business as Superheroes Humane Society. Which is a 3-year agreement at no cost to the city to have them as our secondary shelter. This has also been renewed a number of times before.
Okay, so I've taken a look at both of those. I don't have any questions. I don't know if Scott or Dawn, you have any questions about those contracts? Okay, so I propose we move those to the, consent, and then we move on to our final item, which is the, funding approval for a, access road for the airport. submit an application for this project.
Yeah, this project is the design phase for the terminal access road reconstruction. This has been discussed a number of times with council over the past year or so. Most recently, at our last week's meeting, when we touched on the capital improvement plan. The city match, or 2.5% for this project, would be $5,000. That could be funded from the airport capital improvement projects reserve. The FAA funds 95%, and New York State DOT matches 2.5%.
How much would the road cost?
To be determined, I believe the estimate that was previously done is a couple of years old, that's included in the old airport capital improvement plan, is around $500,000 or more than that, I believe. But that estimate will be updated as part of the design process. Ultimately, if this design process takes through the end of 2026 into the beginning of 2027, we would have an updated number to then seek to get funds for the construction phase.
So to design it and build it could be like $800,000 or something?
Could be, yeah.
Or more?
Could be $1 million, could be 1.5.
Yeah.
But that presumably would be from an FAA.
Right, right, and I think it's worth noting
Funding.
with this project as well as the next one we'll talk about, the city's match being 2.5% is not typical. Normally it's 5%.
Mhm.
The last couple of years, including fiscal year 25-26 for the federal government, that match is only 2.5%, so half what it typically has been. You can see the map that's included, page 72, hard to see the page numbers, but it's a colored map. It shows the airport
Yeah.
capital improvement plan layout. So there's a blue line that kind of shows the section of the road that will be relocated, and that will be relocated to create more space that can be in the future utilized for additional hangars, which currently there are no plans specifically, city plans to construct those. There could be in the future, or private hangars if the city were to lease space to a private individual or company who wanted to build hangar space.
Will all
Obviously,
that
hangar
dirt
space
have to be
creates more
moved, well, like, to make it at the same level as the existing road, because it's on the side of the hill?
I don't think it drops off to, I'm not sure the exact grades there, but I think they've intended to keep it without having a huge fill project or cutting. There will be some earthwork required for sure. And the existing section of the road from where the blue line ends back left on the page to the town road would be reconstructed as well.
What does that look like to you?
Orange.
Okay.
Oakley, Coffin?
So just to kind of, Scott, did you have any
myself.
questions about any of this? Before
Uh,
oh, I'm sorry, you know what, actually, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have any further questions?
No.
Okay. Did you have any?
So you don't
Comments?
have to necessarily move the road to do the parallel taxi.
What's that?
You don't have to move the road to do the parallel taxi.
No, they're two different projects. So the issue, the way they're related is that, so the parallel taxi, which is the highlighted green section, that's intended to be done 2 phases. Phase 1 starts all the way on the right, the runway 24 end, and comes roughly, I forget exactly where the cutoff is, but roughly halfway. And then phase 2 would bring it all the way to the main hangars. When phase 2 happens, some of our existing T hangars, which are at a lower grade and have a path down from the runway, would be cut off such that you could not access them with a plane anymore. They would be no longer viable as plane storage. So by relocating the entrance road as opposed to reconstructing it in the same location, you create more potentially usable space that would be within the airport fence and accessible to the runway for future hangars to be constructed. Obviously, hangars can bring more revenue, and that would be the idea. The existing roadway is in need of reconstruction. It's not it's at the point where it needs to be reconstructed, but the relocation is to create more space.
So just to clarify, this is maintenance and it is a maintenance project. Could you characterize it as such?
I mean, I would call it a reconstruction, differentiating between maintenance as opposed to like a, crack sealing or resealing the road.
Yeah.
Like we're digging down and replacing the whole thing, cause it's
Right.
at that point. But it is something that needs to be done in order to continue to have an access road that is
Viable.
It's a new road that runs roughly parallel to the existing one.
Yes, I understand that there's innovation there. I'm just putting forward that just for just to be very clear, that it's for the maintenance of this particular space. So it's, in other words, it's a road that would increase access as a form of maintenance. That's just, I wanna see if that clarification is correct.
I wouldn't phrase it that way, but it's fine, yeah. So what it is there's a road here,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And they're just gonna move it over
yes,
there.
yes.
And
Yeah.
so they can build buildings over here.
Well, and increase and create better access, potentially. Did you have a comment, John?
No, I just would respectfully ask Chair if it's all right to put this in discussion,
Yeah, sure.
both of these in discussion.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm not really sure I feel strongly right now to vote yes for these. So,
To vote yes.
yeah, I'm not sure I'd be in favor of either one of these right now. So,
I agree, I think the whole council should probably,
Absolutely. I mean, I agree too. I just wanted to,
Yeah. I'm sorry, I probably
have a
jumped
little
ahead
bit
of
of
you,
a
I'm sorry.
discussion. I'm sorry?
I said I probably jumped ahead of you, I'm sorry.
No, I just was asking for more clarification about what this project intends to ultimately do. So we'll move that to
Discussion.
have two motions. And I believe that wraps up the packet for,
We have one add-on. Your
oh,
last
that's
page.
right, we have one add-on, and that is, thank you. We have the appointment for the Public Arts Commission for Andrew Vitolo, starting next week. So we can move that to the consent agenda too. Okay. And if there's nothing else, is there anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, then I move that we adjourn at, let's get the correct time here, 5:51. Thank you all.
Very efficient, thanks.